On the turf, the first turf race in day 2 of this Breeders' Cup for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. You know the best way to play this race, the best way to play all of the action all year long, all around the world is through NYRABets. Head on over to NYRABets.com. If you are not a member, use promo code CUP25. We'll give you that free $25 bet as well as matching up to $200 of your initial deposit. A big overflow field for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and a word of warning. I never seem to get this race right. It is a very tough race, and that's one of the reasons I'm picking a long shot on top in here. This race is brimming with interesting horses and a lot to talk about. Let's start out by looking at the Turf Sprint stake at Kentucky Downs, where the first 3 finishers, Imprimis, Front Run the Fed, and Bombard, are coming back. I think because they couldn't read the photo, that probably Front Run the Fed finished 3rd in here. Bombard may have finished 2nd. I don't really care about that. Imprimis is very good, but Imprimis also got an absolutely perfect ride by Irad Ortiz, saving ground the 2-path, angling out in the stretch and getting it done. Bombard ran very well, but he's going to face more speed in this race. I think Front Run the Fed is honestly the horse that you want out of this race, because if you watched the race and you saw the stretch, but watch the whole race, he moved too soon, he moved wide, and he ran a better race than Imprimis, and he seems to be an improving horse in here. Now, I don't love his chances, because it's a very tough race, and he could get a little lost in here, but he's going to be a big price, and since I think Imprimis is a big player in here, I'd rather bet Front Run the Fed at a much better price. So both will be in my play, but Front Run the Fed more prominently because of value. I think you need to find horses at prices in here. And a horse who's a ridiculous price on the morning line of 12 to 1 is Alexandra. Now, I don't think anybody believes she'll be that price. She is very, very good. Now, she, like Front Run the Fed, may not have the speed to be competitive early, but she got a lot of pace to run in the Jaipur, and when she gets that pace, she comes running at the end, able to get the job done in the Jaipur. The 3rd place finisher, Texas Wedge, is a horse that interests me and interests me at a price in here. Texas Wedge was much more forward in a race that fell apart at 6 furlongs. And I know you look at Texas Wedge and say, yeah, well, he ran at Keeneland's next start and he stunk, and that's absolutely true. But he probably was out of position, farther back than he should have been, and he was a bit wide in there. And I think in today's sprint, he can be more forward and get a better trip. I don't care what he did last time at Pimlico. That was a very boggy course that I just don't think he handled like he hasn't handled before, and he gets a firmer turf for this Breeders' Cup race, and he has back races that are fast enough. He can be forward, and his trainer Peter Miller, winning 3 straight Breeders' Cup turf sprints, knows how to get a horse home in this race, and he's going to be a gigantic price. So I may be taking a flyer with the number 13 Texas Wedge. I do like Alexandra, and if she was 12 to 1, I knew she would be, I'd probably put her on top. I think she'll be closer to 6 to 1, and she probably should be. She's good, and she can absolutely win this race. Let's look at the horses that prepped at Keeneland, the 1, 2, 3 finishers in the Woodford. That's Leinster, Extravagant Kid, and Just Might. And I don't want to knock Leinster. He is definitely very, very good. And he's done well at Keeneland. He's got 4 starts here, 3 wins in the second, loves the distance. He is a player in this race. Is he as good as some of the others, and will his price be commensurate? Once again, I'm not knocking horses in this race. I think that so many can win here. I just want to focus more on horses at bigger prices. And at the end of the day, I don't think Extravagant Kid is as good as a lot of players in here, and I think Leinster may be facing a much tougher bunch. So what could be a relatively short price, no one will be that short a price, probably take a shot against him and the players out of that race, just as I'm not particularly thrilled with Got Stormy or Into Mystic, who both ran in the Franklin County, the filly and mare version of the Woodford. Got Stormy obviously has run well before. She's a very good horse, and it seems like Mark Casse has found the right home for her sprinting as she's got those 2 back-to-back wins. This was a very confident ride by Tyler Gaffalione. He timed it very well, and as soon as he got into her coming to the 8th pole, she really responded and just nipped into Mystic, who comes back in this race. Listen, I'm not saying I don't really like Got Stormy. She's obviously run well in these sprint races. I wouldn't be shocked if she ran fairly well in here. Still, I think this is a tougher field, and I prefer some others, but she has run well in 2 straight sprint races. How about the horses coming out of the Eddie D at Santa Anita, the West Coast contingency? And they could be dangerous. That West Coast speed could be very, very dangerous, and Big Runner has no choice. He has got to go from the rail in this Breeders' Cup sprint. Can't knock his last race, and he's a relatively lightly raced horse that's improving, 4 for 7 lifetime. He's also a 5-year-old, though, so they're racing him fairly sparingly. He's going to take some heat in here. Can he wire the field? Yeah, I'm not going to be shocked by anything. I thought that Wildman Jack was just kind of picking up pieces last time out, and I prefer other closers in here, so I wouldn't use him. I don't really love Big Runner, but once again, I don't want to knock any of them. Historically, the European turf sprinters are not necessarily as good as our turf sprinters, and they certainly don't have the advantage a lot of the routers do when they come to America. So we've seen no success from them in these Breeders' Cup races, but that doesn't mean that the number 6 Glass Slippers is a slouch. She was trying to pull off back-to-back wins in the very, very tough Prix de l'Abbaye at Longchamp, and she probably could have done it with a little bit more luck. She was forward, she was without cover, she was chasing the whole way, and she still finished a very game second. She's run behind top horses like Batoche. She is a very, very talented runner, and I do not think she's impossible in this Breeders' Cup race, but there's only 4 slots, and you can only fill them with horses, for me, at prices. So I'm going to put a couple prices on top. The first 2, Texas Wedge on top. I'm hoping he can be forwardly placed for Peter Miller, pointed for this race, and I think he's a little bit better than he looks. I liked his effort in the Jaipur. Front run the Fed, another horse that had a trip last time that seems to be improving at the right time for Chad Brown. Alexandra, she won't be 12-1, but she will be at least a square enough price, and she always seems to put in a good effort. And the 3 Imprimis, who I think is a very, very talented runner. An excellent edition of the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and you know how you should play it. You should play it through NYRABets. Head on over to NYRABets.com. If you're not a member, use the promo code CUP25. We'll give you a free $25 bet, as well as matching up to $200 of your initial deposit.